Hello, I'm Regina Botras, and this is Backstage, where we talk with the who's who on stage, in dance, comedy, and performing arts, speaking with the leading theatre makers of our times and how they came to the stage and what drives them and inspires them. Well, I'm joined by Alex Berlage. He's an award-winning director and lighting designer. You might have seen his work like Psycho, Crybaby, 448, Psychosis. Last year, we spoke with him about Eureka Day, I think was the last time we were together. He's won loads of awards, and he's here to talk about a new production coming to the Old Fitz Theatre from the 15th to the 23rd of May. That's Sonder coming there. Welcome to Stages, Alex.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Great to have you. So, what does Sonder mean to start
Well,
with?
Sonder is a work that Ricky Lindsay and Mitchell Sloan have created together, and it's basically this idea. They were inspired by this idea that everyone is going through something, and you don't really know what each person is going through, and this sort of this sense of kind of like unpacking everyone's sort of own sense of like story and journey, and kind of like delving into it, and this sort of equalizer, I suppose, of kind of the realization that there is this shared humanity, even though everyone might be going through their own thing at any one time. We all kind of are going through a very similar journey in life, if that makes sense.
Wow. So, this sort of your greater awareness or something of the world that you're in, or
Yeah, you're great.
like less solipsistic?
Yeah. I suppose it's sort of the work itself basically is sort of takes place in sort of this split second where our protagonist Romeo is sort of on the dance floor, and then essentially basically all of the sort of memories and experiences and some levels of trauma of sorts has kind of like basically all come to the front and sort of like swirl around in the head and sort of basically uh, sort of explode into this like 60-minute show, which actually takes place in that 10-second moment on the dance floor where everything kind of like flashes before you. And so it is sort of this moment of you see all these different faces in your sort of your life, and you never quite know exactly what they're holding onto, or what someone is experiencing on any one
Mm.
day. And so this is essentially Romeo's sort of kind of an insight into sort of what Romeo is holding our protagonist.
Wow, that sounds incredible. And a dance floor is an excellent location for, I mean, what I can't imagine the experience, but I mean, what happens on the dance floor is it's quite cathartic, can be cathartic, and kind of going
Mm.
into so many places if you are on the dance floor. But it says it's a musical. Is it
Yeah,
music on the dance floor? Is it a musical? Like, yeah.
so it's Ricky came to me with this piece last year, and it's when I first listened to one of the tracks, I've not been so excited by a new musical in such a long time. And like what I heard from the demos was this sort of like collision between like club music, sort of chill electro, but also kind of like beautiful sort of songwriting that it sort of feels like it's somewhere between like going to a live music like gig or a DJ set, but then also going to like a really beautiful, profound musical. And I don't quite know how to describe it, but it's such incredible music, and I'm so excited to be working with Ricky and Mitchell in bringing it to life. It's a solo performer, Ricky on stage. He's singing the bejesus out of these incredible tracks. And let me say, like they're kind of bops. Like it's really awesome music.
I'm wondering if, the audience is going to want to get up with Ricky. I mean, with, yeah,
Well,
Romeo.
we were working in the studio, so we're lucky to be also working with Fetu Taku, who's our choreographer and movement director. And we were in the studio last week doing a bit of choreography to one of the numbers, and I was sort of like ready to get up there with one of the tracks. Like I think Ricky is also an incredible musical artist himself, and has quite a good sort of career that he's developing as well. So yeah, they are like awesome tracks to just listen to. But
Mm.
the show itself, I suppose, is sort of something that explores like Ricky's relationship with his own culture, his Maori heritage, but also, his relationship with, the queer scene and like all the beautiful things, that is to be part of that, but also, those moments where like we fall into sort of into like darkness and bad habits and part of that is the sort of a relationship with finding yourself but at times also unknowingly running away from things that you didn't know you were running away
Mm.
from.
Absolutely, and they can come out in that place like that cathartic. Like I mentioned, the dance floor is unlocking, and music can unlock sort of things and areas in
Mm.
ourself, and I guess a place to process it. I mean, when I read the press release, I know that it goes into some of those areas of, I
Mm.
guess maybe past trauma or self rejection. I don't know. Like, are they the what
Mm.
things that he's dealing with, and is it close to his life? I mean, you're saying this is a really really new work that he's brought to you.
Yeah, so Ricky's created this piece in this character Romeo, and there's moments where Ricky's drawing from his own personal experience, and also moments of sort of fiction as well, and the lines are somewhat blurred there. But the kind of the central sort of, I suppose, one of the central things that he's sort of exploring is Romeo's relationship with his father essentially becomes somewhat fractured. In the work due to a sort of an event that happens and Romeo as a character is Maori and he sort of gets his Maori heritage from his father and so there is also this sort of interesting thing that Ricky is exploring with this idea of how can you sort of continue a relationship with your culture when the person who gave you your culture no longer is worthy of that relationship
Mm.
to you. And so that's a really kind of interesting thing of trying to sort of, find how you can sever things, how you can repair things, and if if the person who taught you everything about your identity and yourself is no longer someone that you might trust or sort of look up to, where do you find that sense of
Mm.
identity and self?
And is there, I guess there's only one person on stage. Is it direct? What is it spoken, or is it all through the music, the storytelling?
So there's, I'd say it's sort of, it's a 60-minute show. It's my favorite sort of show. I'm a big believer as well. As a show should either be like short and sharp or incredibly long, and not real, nowhere in between. So it's a really good like punchy 60-minute show. And it's I'd say it's about like 70% sung, 30% spoken of sorts, and it's him as a solo performer, essentially kind of um, you know, unpacking and taking us through all of these sort of thoughts throughout the piece and the sort of design. I'm also being silly enough to be designing the show as well as directing, but the design has a very sort of reflective quality to it. I'll say at the very least. So there's a lot of kind of unpacking one's relationship to oneself as a kind of way of sort of revealing these inner thoughts and journeys.
And reflective, as in mirrors, a mirror ball test.
Yeah, so there's it's not a mirable of sorts, but we're sort of the sort of environment for the show is a very kind of is very much referencing a lot of those sort of images you might see in sort of like clubs like across the world. It's got a very kinetic quality to it. The set kind of moves around him like you might have a sort of installation at a dance floor. There's sort of like lights and kind of mirrors that all sort of swirl around to the music. It's quite high tech for the Fits. We're once again really kind of pushing what's possible in that beautifully intimate 55 seat theater. And yeah, it's really exciting to do the work there. It's one of my favorite theaters in Sydney to create this sort of
It
work.
just sounds fantastic. Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, I was wondering actually, as a director and a lighting designer and now designer as well, I can't imagine. I mean, it would be difficult. Do you get a lighting designer in because you have that talent? Like, you must already also have that vision as you're directing or as you're putting a show together.
Well, there's definitely pros and cons to sometimes trying to take it all on yourself. I mean, this work, the design is incredibly integrated with the performance. Like it very much is kind of almost the design is like I would say like the backup dancers or ensemble in the musical, so to
Yeah,
speak. So it
yeah.
kind of like that will the sort of design does the dancing around him. And for those who see the show, you'll know when you see what is meant by that. But it's with a show like this because it's so integral. It means that we can really create something that is, the sonography shifts and
Yeah.
changes around him and is very integrated. But I'll be lucky to be joined with quite a great team around to realize his work. So sort of we've got an incredible programmer working with us. Sort of yeah. So when I'm in these roles where I'm kind of taking on a little bit more than I can chew, make sure there's a bunch of experts to in the room to help us achieve
Oh,
it.
fantastic to support the holistic approach to the production. Look, Alex, I can't wait to see it. I'll be there. Break a leg. I'm so looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Alex Berlage and Sonder playing at the Old Fitz from the 15th to the 23rd of May. How exciting. I can't wait.